What you got cooking? I'm cooking with MarketSauce. How's it going, everyone? Darby here with Gen AI University. On today's MarketSauce office hours, we'll be fielding questions about how to use MarketSauce inside of your business to save time and make money. One of the demonstrations we have on deck today is for a new tool inside the MarketSauce Studio called the AI Summit Builder in preparation for our hackathon coming up here in just a few weeks. I spent some time this week building a framework out inside of Pickaxe to just see how far we can push the tool initially as a starting point for laying a solid foundation of a virtual summit or some type of hackathon, an event of some sort that you're going to be putting on. Could take multiple types of formats, but at the end of the day, there are just certain assets that you need as a starting point for any event. And a lot of it comes from the inputs that you provide at the very beginning of the process before you start using AI. So that's much of what we're going to be covering inside of the summit coming up and the hackathon as well, which will be a lead in to the Scale with AI Summit. We're about a little less than 30 days away, preparing for that right now. Super excited about all the content, the speakers, and the sponsors that we will be showcasing and highlighting here during this 3-day virtual event on March 1st, a few weeks prior to the kickoff date on March 18th, 2025, hosting Kelly Tenney and a small group of people here in Austin, Texas, at my house, where we'll be having a day and a half's worth of hackathoning with AI focused on Kelly's next Woman Who AI Summit. Kelly is producing this summit and interviewing and spotlighting women leaders that are building AI, leading startups, and growing their business with AI. And we're going to use this hackathon full day as a focus point on Kelly's summit and implementing some AI agents, workflows, automations, and frameworks that we've been preparing for this event to show you potentially and others joining us live during that day and on the replays how you can use MarketSauce and a number of these different tools like Gamma and Pickaxe, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, Google's Gemini, and we'll explore the broad landscape of tools and platforms that is available. Not all of it, obviously, that would be impossible, but we will be showing the tools that we use actively in our own business and that we will be implementing with Kelly live in that one day to build the entire summit. Now, all that said, one of the things that I want to emphasize going into the AI Summit Hackathon is that people that join us on that full day, it will be like looking over my shoulder and the shoulders of those who are there in attendance with us. Those that are joining us live on Zoom will have access to a lot of the resources, maybe not every single resource because some of the stuff we'll be creating on the fly inside of this event, and it won't be necessarily available or ready to share at that point. But we have a set of prompts and frameworks that we've been using and testing to date that can be accessed easily by subscribing to our platform at the MarketSauce Studio. And if you have a portal account already and you've been using our blueprints marketing, this is something that will complement and enhance your experience with the custom market sauce that you may already be creating yourself or working with myself and my team. For others, I want to give a quick welcome here to Tanya. Great to see you, Tanya. Welcome in to the office hours. How are you doing today? These hours are blocked off, Tanya, and anyone tuning in for you specifically to show up with your questions about Market Sauce. And we have a brief demo planned for today. If there's no questions after the demo, then we'll end the call early. Simple as that. All right. We're going to go ahead and dive into today's presentation of the new Market Sauce resource available inside of the portal. So I share my screen. So you guys go to studio.marketsauce.ai and select Let's Go. Resources we have here on the left-hand side of the dashboard, starting with Darb, who is trained on most of our frameworks and our instructions for how we operate and generate content and produce content here at MarketSauce and GenAI University. So we have access to Darb inside of the studio membership, as well as the Quantum Mentalist, the MarketSauce Revolution, First Domino Development, and now the AI Summit Builder, GPT. And what this bot is going to do is effectively help with planning out the contents of a summit, starting from a knowledge point as reference here to entering simply your big idea, the ideal target audience, specific challenges, the desired outcome, hackathon slash summit details. We can replace that with a virtual event and then any specific requests or priorities here. What I'm going to do as the example in starting up this is I am going to use our play side hustle example as a 1 day virtual summit that we will target towards a specific target audience. And so we're going to have, and you can do this by just typing out each one of the answers to your context that the AI summit builder is going to use. And so what's the big idea here is that we're going to host a 1 day in-person summit for entrepreneurs to celebrate Austin, making this up on the fly, Austin, Texas-based entrepreneurs who are making an impact in the social aspect of entrepreneurship and highlight these entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs who host events in person and online for the ideal target audience, specific challenges. They host online events and want to host more in-person events with other like-minded entrepreneurs and founders. Desired outcome, make new connections, have fun hanging out, and play side hustle through the day. I'm going to add one more thing in here because I do have this idea. The event will also host a mini tournament with a prize for the winner from playing Side Hustle, the event sponsor. Hackathon details, summit details will say 1 day event. Let's say this is going to happen on May 15th. I don't even know what day that is, but let's just say we want to put it together relatively quickly. After the event is a on the east side of Austin downtown. And these are all like real like areas that we're going to be hosting some events coming up. So I'm providing this context first and foremost, and then the specific requests or priorities here. We want to emphasize this isn't just a networking thing. It's a place to come out and hang with other event entrepreneurs. As we've added that additional context in here, you can see as a quick recap, I'm giving it my knowledge up here. I have to select the check so that it intakes and ingests this context. I'm going to select or then go down the list of what's your big idea, who's the target audience, specific challenges, the outcome, and any additional details or specific requests or priorities. From here, once we've got the website integrated, we're going to go ahead and simply click submit. And while it's thinking here and producing this output, I see your chat, Tanya. See everything is working now for you, and that you use this method to identify the ideal audience and key challenges when creating work-related projects, as well as for my personal side hustles. That's a great use. Glad to hear it. See you just come off of camera. Good to see you, Tanya. I'm going to zoom back in here now to the outputs, because what we see now is based on those inputs, we've got the summit plan. And what this is going to do is that kind of foundational structure that you could build and organize based off of. And all of these replays will be posted almost immediately after we're done with them inside of the Creator Plus community, which if you have an active membership, which Ivy, I know you have access with should have access to these recordings inside of the community, and then we load them to our YouTube channel. So you guys can access all of the replays there inside of our MarketSauce playlist. And as we look at the outputs here, going to have a quick recap of what you put in. And to highlight some of the language that you'll see in this bot right now, the COT is a chain of thought summary. And so what this is the AI essentially, and I believe this is using OpenAI's displayed as the smartest model. And so that's what we're working with right now. With the event set, there's time for strategic partner outreach, sponsor alignment. Given the timeline and audience, success hinges on community-driven outreach and leveraging local sponsor relationships. And I would agree. We're putting an event on right now for March 5th, and so I'm kind of contrasting some of the timeline and what I know it takes to put that in-person event up. I certainly think it's feasible to be able to host an event like this in May. The next phase is going to break down what's the phase by phase implementation. So we see here goals and vision, defining the purpose. And so what celebrating Austin's impact driven event entrepreneurs while fostering genuine fun network building experience. And a lot of what it's doing here is providing a lot of the initial context that you can take and move into any other LLM, ChatGPT, like Claude, Google Gemini, or maybe you built your own locally. Context is key with any AI and large language models. The plan is always where we want to start, which is where this is giving us that roadmap that we could follow. As far as speaker and sponsor outreach, this is giving us some direction on where we can get started with some local entrepreneurs. I would take a lot of this context just as I'm reading through it and be able to do this research very quickly in another tab while I'm going through here. Instead of something like chat, you can also open this as a chat and converse with it as well. And so I'll demonstrate that as we get further down. See, the next step right here is the funnel and registration setup. And with any event, you're going to need a basic registration. And so here it even comes up with a tagline: hang, play, and connect. Austin event entrepreneurs unite. Use a platform like Go High Level or WordPress as a simple registration form. I use some tools that we use or have used or in the past, or that we know a lot of members in our community use. For example, you could also have Beehive, which is another alternative for capturing the email addresses. You could use any number of email auto response platforms out there, and a lot of your own existing tech will be able to use for this section for creating a registration form. Often for events that we do virtually, we schedule those with Zoom. We also have apps like the Hang app, like Luma, like Partyful, that can make events set up, especially for in-person events, very easy and simple to set up. Event marketing and promotion. So you see drafting an email sequence right here, inviting highlights for the event, live deliverability and event engagement. So you see the structure of the day. Honestly, all of this looks really on track with what I know would need to go and get involved with the event. And so it's going to be me that high level of what is everything we need to focus on here, and where do we maybe like a potential pitfall to consider is limited team resources may strain logistics. And this is something that we ran into with our current events, was not overcomplicating things. I think as any creative or entrepreneur probably has experienced, raise your hand if you have fallen into this trap before of having an idea and then having space around the idea, and then you just fill all the space around the idea, and then all of a sudden this idea that started off as a simple 1 day or maybe a 4 hour event turned into a full week long massive ginormous thing. Case in point, the last Scale with AI Summit, I only wanted 5 speakers, and then we ended up with 18 hours of live streaming during that week, which ended up being great. But it put a lot more of my attention and focus to execute an event at that scale versus a 3 hour workshop, for example. So consider those pitfalls and things that you want to be aware of to ensure the seamless operation. So now we get to the bottom here, we have our final checklist. So what do we need to do? We need to confirm a venue and finalize the Austin location by a target date. So we need to set that first. Venue's always going to be the thing you need to get out of the way as soon as possible at the beginning, because you're going to structure everything around that venue. Communication with the sponsors, if they're local, that's great. Want to find people that are already connected with me in my own network to reach out for those. And just as simple as sending a text message in a lot of cases, or an email. Event landing page and registration funnel using a chosen platform. And so For online events, I like to use Zoom. It makes it really simple. People register, they get reminded before whenever they do register, and it handles a lot of the recording and the other things of that nature. As I mentioned, a few different tools. Hang, which is an app that I'm actually developing with a partner, and it will be available soon for people to use themselves for scheduling time with friends. But in the meantime, there are other apps out there as well that I am also testing out for the use of our event. And we've got an in-person event coming up in a few weeks for the Side Hustle game. We also have a AI founders hang and co-work coming up in a few weeks as well. It's actually going to be just next week. This event was featured in a recent newsletter here in town, and you've got about 34 people going to it, right? And so this is one way that you could set up an event. This isn't a summit, but I could get the word out for the summit. You can actually charge ticket prices directly through Luma, and then you can reach out and update members and things like that. Super, super handy apps to use. We've got 79 registered right now to going. Honestly, my goal was anywhere between 50 to 100. So about 2 weeks out, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the total turnout is going to be. And we may even have to change venues at this point because more people have registered than we had. Even if this many people show up to the other venue, we would be over capacity, to say that much. So another thing to consider. But then email sequences, which could be things for social media, finalizing the day of agenda. So it's something, again, with any virtual event, summit, in person, whatever it is, having a basic structure of what the event looks like is really important to have so that you can reference and keep things on track. It can be very simple. When we did the latest January hackathon here with a group of about 10 to 12 of us throughout the day, it's very simple. I showed up around 8 to 9 at the house that we were hosting it at, and told people between 9 and 10 show up. From 10 to 11, we did like the initial hot seat for the mastermind and learn what everyone was doing. And then the next 5 or 6 hours of the day was just work time. And then we capped things off between 5 and 6. And then some of us went out to dinner, but the day wrapped up from there. But that was just articulated in advance. And even with the side hustle event, super simple, but helpful to have this structure so that people can know what to expect coming into an event. It doesn't always have to be super, super detailed, but if there's an outcome that people are looking to get from them showing up to the event, good to have something like that in mind. And so now we've got this whole structure and like a starting point for how we can do this 1 day summit for Austin event entrepreneurs here in Austin. I have a choice to make now. Do I want to keep this and do I want to continue to refine it and work with my messaging inside of the MarketSauce platform? Again, if you are just trialing out MarketSauce, you need credit to get this, but then you want to get unlimited uses to be able to interact and generate more of those. So that's why you would have a subscription. You can also directly open up this chat thread that saves to your account, and can you identify 25 sponsors who could be good fits, also the founders and their LinkedIn? This is a question that you can ask conversationally inside of the chat, similarly to how you would be inside of a chat GPT or a Claude instance. We've already just provided the context up front. And so now this entire chat thread is going to be primed for going deeper into this. How I could ask it to expand off and write more for me based on what I gave it. I could ask it to write the emails for me. I can ask it to provide additional event taglines because I didn't like the ones that it suggested the first time. Really, what you can think of is what you can attempt to ask and do. And we can see here in the time that it was thinking and building out this list, it's giving me this list of 25 people that would be relevant. I'd say Capital Factory, Josh Baer. I may be connected to him already on LinkedIn. Sometimes and I found this with, I'm not sure if this is the right Josh that is founder or someone to talk with at Capital Factory. Look at that. See, I'm just going down, I'm finding him, saying, oh, that's great. Let me go ahead and follow him right now. And I'm just gonna shoot him a connection request. Right? I could go down the list. I could open up these conversations and start to build these connections with people that I want to be connected with people like this anyways. It would be great to connect with the co-founders of Capital Factory. Sometimes it doesn't always pull up the right link for the LinkedIn, but this is a starting point at the end of the day. So I can look back through here at all the people that I want to connect with. I can ask it to now, can you expand on and write all the event copy for the registration pages and everything for the event timeline and structure so it fits in an 8 hour day? It's 50. Now let's do this. It's 35 a ticket for attending, and we'll just, and there's a limit of 75 people. Let's keep it at 50. $50 a ticket and 50 people. And so whatever you want, if it's free, right? Just tell it more of the context around your event and use this as your event ideation and formation partner to help you build it. And obviously there's going to be things that need to happen once you get this copy, like you need to go and upload it onto the event page. You could do that. An assistant of yours can do that. Maybe even ChatGPT operator can do that. I am going to be testing out how operator works in more detail at with doing an event like this set up at the summit with Kelly. So we'll have more on that. We can see now I've got an email sequence, registration page copy. Join us here, an immersive in-person celebration for Austin's most impactful event entrepreneurs. Date and time, fully in-person, interactive sessions, live tournament, concluding happy hour. I already want to register for this because it sounds like a fun event. For especially for meeting up with other people that you want to, this is a great starting point to open up a lot of these relationships. And a lot more people are looking for in-person things now, especially here in Austin. So you can see a lot of content on the first draft. And as you're working with any AI tool, like you need to review this. You're the human in the loop, and you are going to be sharing what you like about it. If you want it to rewrite stuff, if you want to rewrite it in a certain tone. And frankly, if you're me, I'm going to copy this entire thread now because at this point, when I get to using these forms to flesh out an initial idea, I also know that I've got ChatGPT, their pro account, which currently gets the early access to the stuff that isn't available on the lower accounts that are just I think it's 20 or 30 bucks a month if you're on the regular paid plan. And then there's the Teams plan, but even the Teams plan doesn't have access to everything on the pro plan. And if you have O1 Pro, this is a great time to take the outputs and the context that you set up in MarketSauce and then utilize this. If you don't, and you just are curious as to what Pro can do and when and why you might want to use it, it's all going to depend on your use case. What Pro can do is take this context that we've used and worked with in MarketSauce and then execute each step and ensure the entire go-to-market copy and content plan and event structure is done and ready for me to copy into a document and report to build on. Make sure it's formatted optimally and easy to read and copy and paste sections of it. This is something I've started to do also when I'm creating these reports and these types of instructions. Write out each section with detailed specific instructions for how I would go about actually doing the thing based on the chosen medium and platform. I will use Luma for events and follow up via Beehive with those who attend and our social media channels, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. I could copy and paste this probably, but this for this event, I'm thinking about this brand side hustle, and those are the basic things that I would need to get it set up. I don't even need a website. We already have the newsletter. So go. And now we get to sit back, we get to wait, we get to go stretch our legs, do all the other stuff that we would do instead of spending hours doing this traditionally. Unless you like doing this stuff traditionally, then do it. I've done it a lot the traditional way and it'd be very time consuming to do all of this research, like very time consuming, but necessary if you want to be well informed and execute a good event and make the right connections with the right people. So it's thinking and it's going through its reasoning and it's crafting a roadmap and it's taking the instructions that I gave it to create even more detailed, customized instructions for me to execute. And the thing I like about where this is going for me is one, I could hand this off to my teammate and my teammate could go and execute it because now there's an actual like roadmap. Okay, go do that, set these emails up in Beehive. Oh, you don't know how to do that in Beehive? You literally ask ChatGPT how to how to set up new emails it's so easy to find the information about how to get stuff set up with these tools. If you actually needed to code anything here, we're not going to, but that is a way that we could go about building out additional assets based on this too. If you don't know the answer, just ask chat, ask Flexity. I hardly like Google as much as I used to. I just say like I've seen people call it like just Plex it instead of just Google it. I don't know if that's actually going to catch on. I didn't come up with it, but you don't know the answer, you can find it almost instantly. And so thinking through all the way to the end is really important. What does actual success look like? Oh, we actually need to set up a place to do the happy hour. We actually need to set up a venue. We actually, it'd be great for us to not have to take this out of our own pocket. So we're going to see if a sponsor would want to come in and cover the cost of the venue. Maybe it's only 500 bucks. Maybe it's 150 bucks. Maybe it's 5 grand. Maybe it's 50 grand. I don't like you could apply this to so many different ranges of things. But ultimately, people need a roof over their heads. And at the very least, you need to provide people with probably water and coffee wherever you're going to be going. At our hackathon, and the ones that we're going to be hosting as well, is I'm just like, no, just Uber Eats something. I'm not going to deal with catering. Like maybe in some events, some people will, but we don't, no one is really asking either for us to cater luncheon for every one of these. People want to order their own things. Uber Eats and DoorDash and all those tools can basically get anybody anything. Certain events, yes, you want to cater and bring stuff in. Absolutely. If you're just doing like a super small event or something, that's just something you want to consider though. It's like, how are people actually going to eat food and do it? In my cases, no one's really had an issue with picking up their phone and doing Uber Eats to get exactly what they want. But if I'm paying 4 grand for a conference or a summit that I'm gonna be at and do it, it's probably a good idea to have a place where you can feed people and make connections over breaking some bread at lunch. And we see a whole 3 minutes and 13 and 19 seconds. 3 minutes and 19 seconds. I could have been jamming out to my favorite song in less and more time than it took to do this research. And now we have and how it's broken it down. And this could be completely off track, so I still want to read through it. I don't think it will be, but we have an event overview. We got step-by-step instructions. We've got required copy, registration page, emails, timelines, sponsored list, and a final action item. One, event overview, right? So right here, event overview, play, tickets. Like part of me wants to be like, set this event up right now, operator, and operator could go do it. I'm doing this live right now with you guys, so I'm recording it and walking through. But if this looked like something that we'd want to take action on, we could take it to Luma for events or Hang or wherever. We could take it to Gamma and put together a super simple Gamma landing page. You could take it to your website builder that you already use and use some of this content. So we're going to be using likely Luma for this next event. And so create the event Luma, title it, description, copy and paste. It's literally giving like I would have a hard time messing this up if I approved this as someone here. And once you go through these tools once or twice, it's not very difficult to set up events now with a lot of these tools. Like Eventbrite is another one that you could potentially use. There's so many of them out there. Upload a friendly, vibrant header image, sponsored logos into the description or wherever relevant. If there's tickets, post registration. So it's giving us those outlines, make a separate segment, right? That's something you're going to need to do. So you can tag people so you can email the different segments, post event emails, social media. So it's giving us an outline for what we could do for all of these. And now it's section three is all the required copy. And so now we have everything that anyone would need to know, basically. And of course, it's up to me to do the final sign off of this. Thank you confirmation page. I don't know if you get redirected on Luma, but a lot of events you register for one, you have the option, okay, where do you want someone to go from there? If people are buying a ticket, probably be nice to send them a thank you note, let them know that you appreciate them and look forward to having them at the event. And of course, if there's anything that you want people to prep for an event, if they need to fill out a form or any other information, then that'd be great to get that information for them as well on that thank you page. And we use Typeform for a lot of that stuff. You could use Google Forms, it's free. Email sequences, registration confirmation. Thank you for snagging a spot. 1 week out reminder. This is great. Like honestly, like for what this type of event would be, like this is pretty much saying what I know what need to be said. And even if I want to make some final changes, that's totally cool because I can just hop in and now I have that first draft that's 80% of the way there, which is what I want AI to get me to anyways. So I can take it the rest of the way. Day before kickoff, post event thank you. A lot of this stuff could be prepped ahead of time too, so people automatically get it after the event. Now we have the 8 hour event timeline. So we could see, obviously, this is up for final confirmation. I could adjust the flow and make sure that makes sense. And if I already had this planned out, it would have been structured that way right out the beginning if that was part of my initial content brief. But this looks like a solid structure to start and build from. Below are the 25 potential local sponsors, final action items, promote on social media, final day logic, closing. So, like, that's a lot of that heavy lifting out of the way. The next thing I'm going to add in here while we continue to move on, test. Now do deep research and find 150 relevant local Austin, Texas based entrepreneur event founders and the types of people that would make sense to come and be at this event. I'm going to select deep research now because I want to like really get this information here. I want their names, company, website, main socials they are on, and a custom 3 sentence intro message to customize for an invite that is relevant to their background and why this event would be fun and benefit them. Whatever that instruction is right there is what you want to make it, right? I'm like thinking, oh, this would be really helpful to have all this in the 30 minutes of time that we're spending here doing it. Like most of the work here is actually like opening the conversations and having the conversations from this point and not getting lost and forgetting that I had this thread in the first place and getting distracted and going and doing something else again, right? If I wanted to put this event on, I would have all the ammo I needed to go and to execute and take action on it after I had this last bit to do it. So to find the most relevant, so this is a key part that I really like about where O1 is and Pro is at and how these reasoning models actually are interviewing me back to make sure I'm giving it all the right information. And so from here, this does happen more often than I noticed it happening if I give instructions to like GPT-4. So I think it's because it's reasoning and it wants to get all the right clarifying context. Thank you for the questions. The types of entrepreneurs we're looking for are the founders of event companies and also mixed in with a broader range of entrepreneurs who host events of their own. They don't have to be massive events, but they are generally community leaders and builders and founders that are event hosts and likely have their own companies as well that they facilitate connection through. No particular industry. This can be a broad and general mix. Ideally, people have a strong social media presence and are active in local participation. We would prioritize those over just any founder because they would have more of an audience to share what they're doing and have an impact through what we'll be doing and sharing at our summit. Main social medias would be LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. The intro message style should just be casual, pithy, and straight to the point, not trying to be too funny or too fancy. Just let them know what's going on, we think they'd be interested, and that this is an invite only. So we've selected you for this invitation exclusively. So now that I've given it this next stage of context, it's going to do deep research. And I know whenever it's like starting to slow down some on these responses and do it, I think it's fun watching it do the work. It's digging into events, and I'm seeing where it's finding a lot of this information from over here. You can follow along with how the thought process and how it's going, finding local news stations. And there's so many entrepreneurs living in Austin. Impossible for me to know everyone here. And so these events, like in this example, are a great way to connect with other people inside of your own local community and bring people together and facilitate connections. From those of us here live and those watching the replay and the comments, let me know if you're seeing this kind of workflow or this process helpful and how you would go about executing. Again, what we started while this is going on here was from a content brief inside of the AI Summit Builder inside of the studio.marketsauce.ai. We're going to continue optimizing this particular bot over the next few weeks in preparation for the Hackathon Summit. But it all started from a big idea, ideal target audience, and the instructions that you are ultimately providing the AI to start and build from, to opening up a chat with the based from the inputs that we started with. And then now we are using O1 Pro to do some super deep research and find these people here in Austin that would be great to invite to an event like this. I'd love to hear any insights or things that are standing out to you that you are going to put into action, maybe that you found useful in how O1 Pro works. I'm loving deep research for this type of stuff, but of course, I want you to go and use these tools and then report back and let me know how the actual event went in this case. For those of you that are here learning how to put on events, you learn best from the actual experience of doing it. Create a lot of imaginary events. You can do that all day in ChatGPT, but that's not going to literally make the thing happen. And there's probably AIs out there that could help with even some of that messaging and the outreaching. But you got to have a list first. You got to know who you're talking to. This is where we cue the elevator music. I don't even know if I used the word event organizer once. An entrepreneur who is an event organizer would be something that I would definitely use another time. When I am doing this tool, sometimes I notice if I go to another tab in Chrome that it crashes out more regularly. That's not always the case. Sometimes I've been able to jump to another screen and no problem, come back in 5 minutes and it's done working. But individual leads is a pretty big ask, hence the time it's taking here. Yeah, we get Whitney Wolf Hurd and Kendra Scott. We need to charge a little bit more than $50 a ticket if those types of people are going to be showing up to this event. Get some sponsors in, throw a charity auction on top of it, make it a whole thing. Yeah, Elon Musk is definitely coming to this event. It's pulling a lot of founders and entrepreneurs right now. I think he's a little bit preoccupied with going to Mars and other things. I mean, if I get 150 people like this to review and go through, probably going to put it in a Google document and then print it off or block off some real time to just go through the contents that I'm researching right here. And then confirming who I want to actually reach out to, then make those connections. And obviously executing the other things like the event setup and otherwise that will all be necessary to make it happen. In the time that it's doing this research, I could have taken all the content that it had and get it a basic event setup without like a super fancy graphic or anything, just inside of Luma. So I'm not too worried about any of that other stuff. Mostly it's just on if this actually should be an event that we do. This research one way or the other because we could invite these same very people to this event that's actually happening. And so regardless of how, if this actual event comes into place, I'm going to have all of this research done that is targeting people that we'd want to be working with for SideHustle anyways. We got to be close here. We got 29 sources. It's on the very 95th% of the way through, it looks like. Let people know what you got cooking. I'm cooking with market sauce. And we got 5 minutes before I have a deadline and I have to cut this call off and jump into another call. 4 minutes now. Let's see if we're really bringing this down to the wire so we can show you guys in real time. That's less than an hour. I don't know. I don't know if you guys see the value in this. I hope you do if you put on events. I'm- Let me know if you follow this process, how much time you think that this would take you to do physically to do it. And I would say go and time yourself, but I don't want you to waste all the time doing it. I want you to use AI to save you a bunch of time. You can do research like this also with tools like Perplexity. You can also use ChatGPT 4 to research and follow these types of prompts. So you're not limited to just watching me like using O1 Pro right now. You can still do a lot of this research with Perplexity, with MarketSauce even, because I'm not sure if we actually added into this just yet for this demo, but we're integrating with Perplexity too, with a number of these, as well as it does Google searches. And it's obviously not on the pro level. Okay, I'm compiling that list, gathering the colleagues. During a normal workday, if I'm using O1 Pro like this for this type of research, I just have it up on one screen and I'm doing another thing or playing drums or something like that, not typing away at my keyboard doing 150 individual Google searches. We got 2 minutes left. Let's see if we can make sure this output's going to show before we cut this call off. Part of me feels like I'm at the blackjack table right now, and I got to hit or pass or whatever, just waiting for the output to come, or it's going to crap out, and we just spent the last 20 minutes watching AI do research, and then it's going to say, "Oh, you need to regenerate this response." 17 minutes. Wow. With 1 minute to spare, we've got our Austin event entrepreneurs and community event hosts. Below is a list of the Austin-based entrepreneurs who founded event-related companies or actively host event communities. All social media links for outreach convenience, descriptions. So we got starting with number one, Joshua Bear, founder, CEO of Capital Factory. So it's going and finding his website. Social is about Austinpreneur invite. Yeah, so too many to come through, but I know Paul through LinkedIn. I think if it's the same Paul, I needed to double check, but I think that is some new names on here. All right, cutoff at fit at 47, but now I have the framework for how this would look. All I have to do is say continue while I'm reviewing these, and it's just going to keep going down 47, 48, 49, 50. And that's how you get started with building a summit with the AI Summit Builder and MarketSauce, and then use something like ChatGPT o1 Pro to accelerate the research once you have a framework in place. Hope you guys found that useful. Got to hop here, but as always, keep calling AI on. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers, y'all.